This is the Tony Azevedo Podcast. Brought to you by 6-8 Sports, which brings technology, transparency, and data to youth sports. 6-8 was founded by 5-time Olympian and silver medalist Tony Azevedo and 2-time gold medalist Maggie Steffens. Download the app now for free.
Whew. Last night was a doozy.
Yeah, just because of the game or because you had a lot of games or what?
Well, dude, the schedule, man. The way it works is I start, right, always with whatever, the USA game, which is usually at 1 a.m. here in Connecticut. I'm in this tiny little booth with my co-worker, Paul Burmeister, and we do the game, and then I get another game at like 2:30, and then last night, because there's all these hurricanes in Tokyo, they gave us they're canceling events, so they fill in with water polo. So they gave me a 6:50 in the morning game.
Man, first time in the history of the sport that they filled stuff in with water polo. More water polo. It's great for us. But
well, that's what I keep saying. I'm like, look, on a selfish note, if they're actually using water polo and filling it in, I'm happy. But I'm not seeing water polo anywhere. You guys are just screwing with us because it's sitting somewhere.
So how come I watched that one game and it was a USA game and I didn't hear you on it?
So where did you watch it on live stream or
your
computer?
I probably watched it on the NBC app, I'm guessing. It was on my TV for sure.
So anything on TV that's not an app is going to be me. So yesterday I did the US, Italy, and I did Montenegro, Croatia. And that was on TV. So when those air on TV, you hear me, right? That's my contract is TV. The other, anything on the app or anything streamed, that's going to be the British dude or lady.
Okay, that makes sense. Because listening to you and your partner during the USA versus Italy last night, I thought you guys were awesome. You can tell you guys are getting a groove, you're getting some chemistry, right? It was awesome hearing that commentary. But when I was listening to the one that you weren't on, it must have been a British guy because he kept referring to the whole sets as center backs and center forwards, and I was like, this isn't soccer, dude.
I know, it's funny. They give us this list of terms, and I'm like, there's no thing as center back.
No.
It's called a defender, man.
I get it if they're trying to use layman terms so that people understand, but at the same time we could be teaching the world the true terms for maybe they use those terms in other countries. I don't know, but it definitely was jarring to me.
Yeah. No, it's been fun, dude. It's been the thing is all right, so I'm up from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. pretty much. Sleep a little in the day, but I get a day off, right? That my partner and the others, they don't get a day off. They're doing that every day, right? So Julie and I switch off. Julie Swale gets the women's games, and I get the men's games. So I wake up today in a daze. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where I am. And then I get out and I'm like, can I get a cup of coffee? I tell everyone good morning. It's 2 p.m. They look at me like, what's wrong with this guy, man?
It seems like you would have been better off staying on West Coast time to record these.
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, do we have any West Coast offices that I could just stay home at? Maybe
we could have got a budget and built you a booth and then just used it for the podcast after it was all said and done. Oh, live and learn. So what do you think's been? We're gonna get to the USA versus Italy last night for sure. But what do you think's been the best non-USA game? Which game have you watched been the best that didn't? Because I've only watched the USA games.
Serbia, Spain. I mean, I've called it. I called it in the first game, USA Japan. I said they asked who I thought the best teams were, and I thought gold medal Serbia and Spain. I think Serbia, the way they annihilated Australia last night and just handpicked, they are over 95% on 6-on-5. If you are a coach, a player, You need to watch every Serbia game and watch their 6-on-5 because I've never seen a country put on a clinic of 6-on-5 power play like they have.
What do they do that's
phenomenal.
so special, you think? What do you think they do that allows them to execute like that?
Well, they've always had great post movement. And they basically give the ball wing to wing to wing to wing. The posts are constantly pushing, moving here, that it's just creating such problems for the defenders that finally that guy jumps in and you finally I have to jump in with them. And then all of a sudden comes Prelinovic behind with the easy goal, right? Or you have the lefty sitting there faking, and then the post players, waiting, boom, jumps up at one time, boom, he hits him right in the air, it's done, it's goal, right? And these are things that we don't realize we can do, except our post players a lot of times, and not saying the U.S., but in general in our country, we take it almost like a rest period, or it's like a play, and said, no, every single time work. Watch those guys. It is amazing.
Yeah. So shifting gears to USA, actually one of my favorite things about watching this men's team play has been Max Irving. I think he's one of my favorite new players. And it's not even scoring goals or doing those things that you would traditionally fall in love with watching players. It's specifically his 6-on-5 defense, because he's usually covering the shooter at 1 and the post player at 2 post, And to watch him shift back and forth, he's amazing. He covers so much ground and then comes up into the field block. It's incredible to watch.
Dude, he's by far the most fundamentally sound kid out there. I mean, Luka grew up in Europe and has a lot of the great fundamentals. But Max Irving has been a huge just shine of joy for Team USA. He puts away goals. He's not meant for scoring. He never has been, but he puts away goals when they need, like from the 6th spot yesterday against Italy. And he also just defends the best players. He's in the lane. He's patient. He makes the right passes. I love this team all these guys are like my boys, right? They all either came to my camps when they were younger or we played together in this last Olympics. I love this group, right? You got Hannes Dabe, Dabe, who just is just a freaking beast, man. The potential to be amazing. You got, Halleck, who's just so impressive. He's holding position against Italian defenders at 2 meters, right? And he's 22 years old. I mean, he has the potential, and we got to figure out a way to make sure he continues, because he'll be the best player in the world in LA 2028.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really fun squad. I mean, you knew a lot about these guys coming into the Olympics, but I'm seeing these guys for the first time. I think a lot of fans, and it's a fun squad because it's very young, right? It's a very young squad. 2, it seems like even though we do have guys like Max that are very active, we also have a lot of size on this team, which we don't seem to always have over the decades, So it's a very fun, and we got great goalkeeping too, man. What a shame to lose that game last night after the performance in goal.
I know. Drew just played absolutely out of his mind. I mean, the block he made on the left-hander Echeniki on the skip near side, that just doesn't happen. That's a goal. I was saying it on the air last night, but that was a great. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna sting for sure, because they should have won that game. They played well enough to win that game, but this is exactly the kind of thing that happens when you haven't had the experience that these guys have, that other teams had. And I said it from day one, from the beginning of the game, Italy has that experience, man. They're the most water polo probably experienced team out there besides maybe Serbia. They've been in every championship. They're playing together. So it's going to take us a little bit to get rolling, to get to that. How do we finish a game? I remember one of the biggest lessons in 2008 when we won that silver was we kept being up and winning, and then we'd lose it in the last 3 minutes. And we'd be up and we'd lose it. And it's just oh, how do you pull it together? So then you think, okay, let's just be calm and patient, but then you stop attacking and you lose it. Then you over attack. So it's that fine line, and they'll find it. The good thing about where the US is right now is we're going to the quarterfinals. We're going to get a chance to sit at the table, right? And have that one game that we got to win. So everything now is about placement, but to me, it's about experience. What are you learning, right? They should take that game. They should go home, be proud, but also be pissed. Learn from it. Go against Hungary tomorrow. Probably not going to be the same situation. I don't think they match up as well with Hungary as they do with Italy, but I think they can hold them pretty close because Hungary's a hot and cold team. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my word on the line that they go ahead and finish and beat Greece to finish off the bracket. So I think if they can do that, build, tomorrow will be a tough game for them to win against Hungary, then learn again, and then finish with a solid win or a tie against Greece. Now we have USA with that experience, learning with some of these guys like a Cupido, like a Halleck, like a even like an Irving and a Bowen. Now all of a sudden they're like, okay, hey, we know our game, we got our style, we got one game to play, right? So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because you rattled off so many names there, that's been something of note also, is that they've been going really deep into the lineup. Like even game one out the bat, like a lot of guys saw time out there.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest worry is our weakness is our center defender, right? We have like Dylan for his first Olympics. I mean, he's doing a great job. He really is. Like, he's holding position. The unfortunate part of water polo is there's also the politics that go into it. So like, poor guy gets ejected when it's like, dude, that's not an ejection,
I know. You called it too,
but,
man. You were calling it last night's game. You were like, this is definitely going to be an ejection, because you just know in certain situations the referee's going to it's like Michael Jordan getting a foul. If Jordan just drives to the hoop in certain playoff games, you know he's going to get a foul,
That's right. So, poor Woodhead. Jesse's just Jesse, right? Like, Jesse's going to be used for the crossover game. He's going to be that guy when there's a big center. He's going to battle, and hopefully that's the game that he shines in. But Jesse, picks up ejections really easily. So the one we've had to rely on is Luka Cupido, right? But my fear is that if we're using him so much as a defender, then he's not going to have the gas in the tank to do everything he's done on offense. I mean, the guy's 3 assists, like two beautiful goals last night, and he can't do everything. So we're going to need to step up or figure out a way. And if Holland has a game, no problem. We'll come back into a zone, and he'll stop it, and we'll be able to compete with anyone. But if we don't have that game out of Holland and our defenders pick up early ejections, that's where my fear comes in.
Right. So what about the women dropping the game to Hungary? A little bit of a different situation with them losing a 1-point game versus the men losing a close one, huh?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I was watching that game last night because I didn't see it. I just woke up to a text from, Maggie's dad and was like, what in the hell? They lost? Are you kidding me? So I looked in fourth quarter. They're up by 2. Best thing for them. Honestly, the best thing for them. It doesn't suck that they don't break the record for longest streak. Yeah, all that stuff sucks. But in the end, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? What streak you want is 3 gold medals in a row. That's the streak you want. No one really cares. I mean, they showed all those winning streaks. Like, great softball. You won all these in a row. I don't care about. Like, no one really cares about that. So, to me, that was the best thing to happen to USA. We talked about it at the series at home, right? Like, one of my complaints when we had Russia and the U.S. here and Hungary here was that I felt like the referees were being equal, if not more, favoring the U.S. And I know Adam was telling them, but like, if I'm Team USA, I'm going, hey, I want you to try and make us lose this game.
Yeah, make us work. Yeah.
I was saying this from day one. Like, hey, like anything equal, not us, right? Like, I want you to get in her head. I want you to major like that. You have to play like that because you have to assume that something might happen, and it happened, right? The Olympic Games shows up, pressure's on the line. Even China. I mean, to be that close to China for 2 quarters, that was scary. So I think this is the best thing to happen to the women's team. They're going to bounce back. They're fucking studs. They're amazing. And this was exactly what they needed. It's going to be a harder route. They might have to go through Spain, who's playing out of their minds. But they can do that. They can beat anyone, but not the way they're playing right now. So I think that was the best thing to happen. They're going to come back. They're going to go back to their gritty, almost not underdog, but like gritty, cocky, we're the best. We're going to go out there and play our game and be mean and fast and strong. And they're going to show the world that they're the best. They're the best by far.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who you are, dude, you see it happen in professional sports all the time that when you're so dominant, sometimes you need something as a wake-up call, you know, to give you a little bit of that refresher, that new sense of urgency, you know?
Well, thank God it happened now instead
of
happening
not in an elimination game. Yeah.
In this, I mean, imagine that could happen in the semifinals. You look at what happened in 2000 and even 2004. That loss came at the wrong time, right?
Yeah. I've been checking out your plus minuses that you guys have been posting. Talk about that a little bit, man. It's really fun to follow.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, everyone's trying to copy all the stats, which is actually illegal. So we stayed away from doing that. But everyone loves like showing all the other stats. They're doing it themselves. I'm like, yep, that's illegal. People, you should probably hold off on that. But so one of the big pluses that we have at 6'8" is that plus minus, right? We have the ability to find out who the most valuable player in a game is. So what we've done is accumulate all the stats from the Olympics and from our own 6'8" desk and create that plus or minus and find out who those top 5 are. And it's been super interesting because, you know, Maggie's now 6th overall. She's out of the top 5. So I'm like, hey, if we get a call from Maggie to change the plus or minus, don't answer it. Don't answer the phone. But like, you know, and it makes sense, you know, it's earned ejection. Turnovers really kill you. Shooting percentage doesn't help, right? There's all these factors. And it's been fun to see that, look, the teams that are playing best and the players that are playing best, they're the top, right, for both the men and the women. So it hasn't been this like this ridiculous, whoa, like how did that person? No, it's valid. And that's been really fun. And it's a different approach. Like we at 6'8" is all about innovation and doing different stuff like the VR, right? And the academy and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't want to show the same stats that you can find on your own. I want to show something different and valuable, and that's the plus or minus.
I finally got a chance to check out the VR at JO's last week. It was pretty cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah? What scenario were you in?
So I did one where it was a 2-on-1, and I was attacking from the left, and you had to decide whether to attack, draw, or pass, basically. And The only thing that I didn't like was that the scenario plays out the same no matter what, basically. So no matter what you did, it was still a block. I was like, I thought I guessed right.
I know. The more scenarios, we film like 80 more scenarios for goalies, for counterattacks. But yeah, it's about repetition. But if you're guessing right, and then you keep guessing right, then when that happens, it's like, okay, well, now I know what to do in a game, right? You saw it last night. Well, 6 on 5, I'm at 1, 6 goes in, or I go in, post is in, I have 2 options. I'm watching the middle guy, he's close to me, the 2-on-1's on that side, there's the lefty wide open, and then Holland blocks that shot. Like, these we just have to have more reps, more game-like situations, and that's the idea with it. So it's been exciting. We had some colleges sign up to get on board, and now I get to create a ton of content.
Yeah. Another fun thing about this men's team has been there's some personality. And, we've talked about that on this podcast so much about creating fans for water polo and whatever. And Bowen's got he does the chop when he scores. And Drew's out there yelling after every stop. It makes it fun. I got to believe that people who are casual water polo fans are enjoying watching these guys play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I'm very excited when I'm up at 2:30 in the morning or 1 in the morning, whatever time it is, watching these guys. I mean, Paul and I have a big smile on our face, and we're ready to go. We're like, all right, here we go. And I get in trouble because I say too much, and I just want to just talk the whole time. And then the producer's like, listen, let's calm it down a little bit. I'm like, I know, but there's so much going on.
See,
I want to tell them all.
I hate that, Tony. See, I will say if I was going to give any constructive criticism whatsoever, the first game I watched where it was the men versus Japan, and you guys did such a great job of breaking the game down and explaining it, to both people who know water polo and don't know water polo, and I was proud of you. But it was a close game, that game against Japan, right? And I was like, The only thing is, I go, why isn't Tony getting more excited? I go, this is a close game. I go, they shouldn't be calming you down. They should let you be Dick Vitale out there, bro.
Oh, man, let me loose.
Yeah.
Let me loose.
Let Tony because I've seen you get pumped up over watching, kids play. I'm like, Tony's got to be more pumped than this. I was like, I just didn't know if it was a replay from 4 a.m., if you were tired, or if they were reining you in, man. They got to let you loose.
They got to let me loose,
Free
man. They're reining
Tony,
me in.
Free Tony.
No, it's been, dude, these guys, and I'll tell you, so day one against Japan, that's a nerve-wracking game, right? Japan made some big mistakes. But as you see, Japan almost beat Greece and probably should have beat Greece in this last game, yesterday. So the fact that USA beat them the way they did on that first day with all the pressure, that's a huge step, right? Coming to Italy, starting strong as they did, whatever, losing in that last couple minutes. I'm excited to see where this team goes. Again, Halleck, Irving, Dabe, Bowen, Cupido, these are all guys that have just been shining. I mean, you got even Vavic coming in off the bench. You got Stevenson. You got Woodhead, everyone. And then the goalies, I mean, whether it's Wolf or Holland in there, I think you got to stick with Holland the way he's playing. But see, that's an interesting one, too, is that what you saw last night, Serbia, Australia, with the new rules, you can't switch out your goalie. So they start against Serbia. It's 6-0 in the first quarter, right? The poor goalie from Australia can't block. I mean, he couldn't block a 10-foot balloon coming at him, and you can't do anything about it. You can't sub in your backup goalie. He's in the stands filming, going, "Oh man, I should be in there." So it's a tough one. Do you put two goalies on the roster? Right? Because are you afraid, that one has a bad game? And if they have a bad game, man, if your goalie has a bad game, it's over. Game over.
Well, I could just say from my coaching experience, trying to shepherd a 10U B team through JOs last week, it's not fun when you got to rotate a goalie. We kept rotating goalies. These poor kids.
No.
Here, I'm begging these 10U kids, all right, someone's got to put, and none of them want to do it. And it's someone's got to do it, guys.
I know. That's where my dad does his Warriors, right? His 12, 13-year-old kids once a week, and one kid goes up to him, he goes, "Hey, Coach Rico, I want to be a goalie." My dad goes, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah, hero.
Go, get in there, bud. Get in there.
Well, I had one kid who came with us, even though he just started playing water polo less than a month ago. We had the roster space, and I was like, we could really use all the bodies we could get. So this kid came, and he was willing to play goalie. So for 3 games, or 2 or 3 days, he finally settled in and was like, "I'll be the full-time goalie." And I was like, "You're a hero just for giving it a go." And he ended up liking it. So It's one of the fun things about coaching at this age group is, he doesn't even really know how to egg beater that well, but I can't wait till he's in high school and he's a goalie, and we all look back and remember the time when he just agreed to do it because no one else would, and then he ends up loving it, I was going to switch gears here because I know that we talked about this a little bit in the past, and I was curious what your thoughts were with everyone reacting to Simone Biles, and you mentioned that you thought it was going to be a different experience this year for a lot of athletes without having their families and friends and support systems with them. And I wonder if that was a little bit of what was happening with Simone. If she had her family there supporting her or people that she's used to having around her, if that would have maybe played a part in her, having a rough time.
Yeah. I think through these games and through the last couple of years, especially with Michael Phelps coming out after, I think I hope people take awareness to how serious this mental health issue is, right? And I'll be blatantly honest. I don't have to hide anything. Like my career when I finished, dude, I remember there were about 2 years where I'm transferring from an Olympic athlete to I don't know, right? And I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know it was going to be VR 6'8" Academy. Like I just knew I wanted to do something different. And I can remember being at Drake High School with Swanson, and I'm doing a camp, and I give a speech to the kids, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm gonna faint, and I'm like, can you give me a chair? And I'm like, and I finish the speech, and I felt like I was gonna like fall down. I jump in the water and finish the camp, and I'm fine. And then I go to dinner that night. I go, what the hell happened to me? Like, maybe I was dehydrated or something. Anyway, so I wake up the next morning, finish the camp, and I'm on my way to the airport, and all of a sudden I start shaking, and I feel like I'm going to die. I swear I feel like I'm going to die, and I don't know what to do, and I pull off. I can't breathe, and I'm like, something's going on with my body, dude. That's it. And I called a friend of mine who's told me this, and he's like, welcome to the world of anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, what? Is this a real thing? And so that was the scariest weekend of my life. But probably one of the most important because I never really thought about mental health. Like I was always as an athlete nervous and afraid and scared, but like you should be nervous, afraid, and scared. And then you have your trigger points where you go underwater, you come up, boom, I'm in the zone, and then I do what I do every day, right? And then I say my speech and I go home and I have my relaxing things that calm me down, and that's it. But the moment you lose that, it's that when an athlete loses that path for a little bit and they don't know exactly what they're doing and they're not, on top of the world or not, the same person, dude, it's scary. And it's not like I wasn't scared. I believed in what I was going to do, but somehow inside of me came this weird feeling that you can't control.
Yeah.
And so for the next probably year and still to this day, I start meditating a little bit. I start thinking about it. And it still comes and goes and I can control it. But dude, it's a scary thing, man. And it's real. And I'll tell you what, it's not just Michael Phelps. It's not just me for a little. It's not just – it's more athletes than you think, and most of them we all know. I mean, every athlete I've talked to has a story about that. And remember that Kevin Love back in the day where he was one of the first on the basketball court. This is something, especially the way we're pushing our kids now, it's like, you got to succeed because you got to go to the best college. If you don't go to the best college, you're going to be a loser. Then you're never going to be an NBA player or a baseball player. You got to be the best. You got to be the best. And now with social media too, it's a whole nother thing because before it's like, hey, I lost a game. Doesn't matter. No one knows, right? Like now you lost a game, you played shitty, and on the social media is you making that huge mistake, people commenting on how terrible that mistake was,
Yeah.
you taking it in on yourself. It's real. So
Yeah, and it's not like she let her team down in the sense of she went out drinking the night before or didn't prepare or whatever. It was something medically going on with her, and I think it's admirable that she recognized I have teammates that can step up when I don't feel like I can go out there and nail what I need to nail, and especially in a sport where, she said I don't know if she had the twisties, I guess they call it. And she was like, I don't know if I can safely perform what I need to perform to get us where we need to get, So,
well,
if anybody in sports has credibility in the bank for being tough and coming through for their team and their country, it's her. And if people are going to criticize someone who's got all that credibility in the bank and then can look you in the eye and say, I think we're better off letting someone else step up to the plate, then I mean, who is going to get that credibility if she does it, or get that pass?
Yeah. And I think one of the most credible people that one of the big moments that a lot of people criticized her was the Japanese tennis player when she came out on that.
Yeah, Naomi Osaka.
That's right. On that press conference. And I'm sorry, like, that is so valid. Like, she competed, man. She's doing everything, but that creates anxiety for her. That gives her nerves. Not everyone likes public speaking. I definitely don't like public speaking. And so if that's something that really affects someone, like, figure out a plan B. Maybe it's a pre-recording. Maybe it's pre-questions. Like, come on, the day in technology now, it's different, right? So I think the USOC, the Olympic Committee, all sports in general, parents, you need to start taking more care into the mental health of your child, because ultimately what you want is your child to be successful. And if they're so built, blocked in their own head or have anxiety already at a young age, like, this is scary. This isn't going to end. And then it's going to be just pill after pill after pill, which eventually doesn't lead to the right thing. The only devil's advocate part of the Simone Biles thing, which for sure, I see both sides, but I want to say both sides because I've had friends kind of comment on both, is like, the other thing, you have a Michael Phelps who does his career and then comes out and says, look, I spent tons of money dealing with my mental health, right? I mean, hundreds of thousands of his own money trying to deal with it just to get through these Olympics. And then you look on the other end, like, I don't know. And that's what something should come out. Like, the millions she's making, was she putting that back into her own health? Or was it just making as much money as you can? And then the Olympic come and maybe I didn't put as much time into the mental health aspect. But again, that goes back to also gymnastics. That goes back to the Olympic Committee making sure, like, hey, our athletes are being promoted all over. They have sponsorships. They're going all over the world. Are you okay? Like, your number one thing is to compete. Like, that will keep you going. Mentally, you're good. We have all these therapists here for you. We have doctors. We have people to talk to. There needs to be an easier outreach for the athletes, because as of now, there isn't. And in a amateur world, I mean, you look in gymnastics, you got a shelf life of maybe one Olympics, maybe two, and that's it. So she has to take advantage of it, because she's done. After this, she's done, right? And then it's like, okay, well, what's the next step? So if she doesn't make the money, she's gone. But at the same time, we got to figure out how to make sure that our athletes are healthy, mentally, physically, in every way. And that's definitely being a part of, 5 Olympic Games. Unfortunately, I felt like I had my family and my team, and I needed more, right? We all needed more. We needed our NGBs, needed our Olympic committees to really say, hey, we'll take care of you. I mean, an example is, in the USA in general, that the moment you retire, you lose all your health care. So like, as you're trying to find a new job, you all of a sudden you go from 0 to he's got to pay $4,000 a month. You got 2 kids and a wife, and it's like, whoa, what? Like, I don't have that. And then, so anyway, I think all of this is exposing what's been out there, and I hope that we can turn it around in a positive state. And the last thing I'll say about it is, like, I think it's important to bring up every option, because I think people need to think about it differently. We're so used to just like one way or the other way, right? But like, in general, all this should do is bring up the fact that we have problems that we need to fix.
Yep, 100%, man. And Simone was a part of a very public, scandal, a tragedy with gymnastics. And so if there should be anyone that's being checked on by those people that you put the responsibility on that you mentioned, it's her. So,
oh my
anyways,
God,
it's definitely a sad situation that hopefully a lot of positive comes out of it. But on a positive note in gymnastics, shout out to Suni Lee, who is an Auburn Tiger, who won gold in the all-around, representing my alma mater very proudly.
There we go. Represent.
That's it, man.
So, yeah. But you're right, man. That definitely should have been a flag for the world to say, hey, we need to make sure she's number one priority for us. So, shout out to Simone, man. She's such a great girl, too. So awesome. And the gymnastics team. So what's your favorite Olympic moment been so far?
Oh, man. I've mostly just been watching water polo. I was so busy with, just JOs and catching up on shows and sleep and everything here. But I think I haven't watched much of the swimming at all. But I got to say the Suni Lee thing is pretty cool, just because I have been rooting for her since she's an Auburn Tiger. So I'll have to go with that.
Cool. All right, dude. Well, let's continue. Let's almost try and hit up a quick little mini set after every game. Why not? There's only 5 more.
I'm around, and even if we don't put them out on the audio platform, I could rip them for Instagram and YouTube. We can send them out there for people. So let me know, man. I'm on your schedule, all right? Well, I take that back. I'm not on your schedule. Your schedule's terrible. But let me know when you would like to record.
All right, done, Dave. Thanks, bud.
Keep kicking ass, Tony. You're doing great, bud.